Hello, I'm Socksway Up, and welcome back to our 50K challenge. This is episode 4. Got a little shot here of a bunch of people. We haven't hit the play button yet. Let's jump on out. Where are we sitting? It's been a little bit. We're sitting at 38,000. Last episode, we got about half of this island populated. And if we look at our needs, I believe, are some of the first things we're really going to jump into. Let's go ahead. Let's get it running. Yeah, so we're gonna have to come across everything here to start off. Then we'll take another look at traffic and potentially prepare a little bit. Yeah, a little bit there, a little bit here. The big concern that we want to focus on pretty quickly in this episode is this right here. This backup, they're turning right, they're gonna loop all the way around. Some of them are gonna actually go to this island as well, but it looks like we just kind of follow some of these trucks. They are all turning right. Why would they? Interesting. So we might want to give... It's all garbage trucks? All right, we're confused to start off the episode. But let's get the clock. The clock is running. Let's go ahead and we're going to dive into it. Hand you on over to VoiceOver Socks. Well, as we mentioned in the intro, we're going to have to take care of all services, and electricity was the first thing we wanted to take care of. And we thought about doing a nuclear power plant, but I looked at the cost per month, and it seemed like it was going to drop it down. It says 8,000 per, but it didn't really drop our income that much, so we did keep it. I was debating for a little bit, but here we're adding in 3 more water pumps as well, getting a little bit more garbage taken care of. We're emptying out a few of them. Later on, we're going to empty out one. Actually, that cemetery we're going to completely empty out and get rid of. But we're making sure garbage is taken care of. Education needs a little bit of help. We're approaching 40,000 people right now. We're still growing. We haven't done anything. So here, last episode, we talked about adding this slip lane. We talked a little bit about it in the intro as well. It's pretty ugly, but it's functional. So we work on that a little bit to try to give it as good of a look as we could for... Yeah, it's not that pretty, but it does the job. So over here, we start looking at this traffic that is inevitably going to back up on us. I know I've been saying that for about 2 episodes now, but it's coming pretty soon. It's actually, and there's a little bit of it. So widening the roads does help. It does help a little bit. It allows the traffic to split between which directions they're going. A lot of places I decided to get rid of the traffic lights, and that's backfired for me in the past, but it seemed that in this build, it did help. Some of these places are just not enough traffic to really require the traffic lights, and then not too much traffic to where not having the traffic lights doesn't... Wow, that was like weird double negatives. I'm not even sure what I was trying to say there. But you can see we're at 40,000 and growing, haven't done anything. Still playing around with a little bit of this traffic, just knowing as we add 10 more thousand people, it's inevitable. So try to get ahead of it. There's a little bit of... You can see here we're decorating a bridge. There's a little bit of avoidance going on right now. I didn't necessarily want to get to 50,000 in this episode. I felt myself fighting the urge to lay down any residential buildings or zoning because I wanted to get 5 episodes in, and I'm spoiling it. We are, 3-4 minutes into the episode. Keep watching. I think you're going to be pleased. The outcome's pretty cool. But, we keep going. We widen these roads, and I was a little confused on when it decides to put a bridge. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Vanilla, it's been a while. But here you can see we had to rebuild the metro because of the road that we added just kind of collided with it. And that's okay. It wasn't that damaging to the timing. With the time still running, even though we paused the game, it doesn't really affect it at all. But some of these redesigned things were definitely needed to help out widen the roads, get more cars through. Just, kind of a funnel thing. If the funnel exit is so small that water can't flow through it, you widen that a little bit and you can get more through. I think that makes sense. Maybe it doesn't. I have no clue. So watching the demands commercial and office are still at high demand, so we decide to zone pretty much the rest of the Banana Island this way to finish out just getting rid of that demand. And I saw the demand go away, but I didn't believe it, so I continued to zone for commercial and offices or industrial in this area. I just wasn't buying it. I wasn't believing that that was actually going to go away, because the trend has been, zone 4 houses and need 17 offices. Seems to be the balance that this game has. So again, we're surrounding it by commercial on this side because I wasn't 100% sure if I wanted to add residential yet, and I wanted to keep a nice balance there of not having the offices right on top of houses. But we keep going. You can see we are starting to get a little bit of a residential demand, not enough that we really felt it was time to expand. So I really wanted to take care of traffic, let the game do some cycles, see what was going to happen with the commercial and industrial demands before we lay down any more houses. I really felt like it was just one neighborhood or one residential area, one subdivision of high density houses left to really push us over the edge, since we're already creeping up towards 42,000 at this point without putting down another residential building in this build. And so here we do add some education, which led to a little bit more residential zoning in this area. I wasn't 100% sure I was going to do that, but we needed the education, and you can see those buildings to the left there are upgrading right away once that school showed up. They were starving for education, and it seemed to really do the trick there, and the demands are creeping up. See, we didn't do anything to residential besides buildings upgrading, but the commercial and industrial demand came back. This town loves its commercial. It loves its office complexes or in industry buildings. You see, we did add a little bit of low density over there just by the schools, just because I thought it'd be a cool look and cool feel. And here we're just finishing out with a bunch of commercial again, getting that demand down. We're finally starting to see the residential demand get up to a point where it might feel beneficial to really build a nice new island. In this segment here, we start to widen the roads, the highways, and update them to actual highway roads. That way the cars can move faster. So once they get into these split lanes and they get onto the highway, there's no reason for them to drive residential speeds. Since we don't have mods to then update the speed limit ourselves on the roads, we can use roads that have different speed limits to control that as well. And you can see here, I was really starting to focus on this road that was cutting through the neighborhood that just was a natural main road. And we come back to that later, but that's something we're going to have to take care of. So there's some cleaning up of the cemetery there so that we can demolish it. So we have that emptying to eventually get to that point. But here we're also looking at our design of the one-way road looping around the entire island. People were taking advantage of cutting through the middle of the islands, in the middle of the business complexes and the residential areas, and really breaking the flow of traffic. So some of these areas we decided to change the entrances to one-way roads, as well as getting rid of the actual intersection to limit people or try to convince people not to cut through. We could have done something like a heavy traffic policy to prevent the traffic going through there. I didn't really go that far as playing around with policies in this build. I never really do in City Skylines. So here I start taking my time and really designing something that looks a little bit better than just like quickly building around the island. Again, there's a little bit of posturing here, a little bit of playing around and delaying the inevitable of hitting 50,000 because I wanted to sneak out a 5th episode. It was my plan the entire time, was 5 episodes, and it didn't happen. But here I start playing around and really enjoying making this layout, and we're making this island a little bit nicer than the rest of them. Still going with that same pattern of major road looping around. Didn't do a one-way road to begin with, and start designing this subdivision similar to what I do in other builds. And it comes out pretty cool. There's no wasted space. We could have done a little bit of decorating in some of these areas and maybe done like a park. That's something we didn't do in this build at all, is some actual, Park Life DLC parks and just didn't take advantage of those features or any real DLCs like industries or anything. And that's something that I'll do when we actually design and build this map. That's my plan next, is to really slowly build out each one of these islands and detail them up and go real deep into the details like I used to do with City Skylines back in the day when we were doing Socktown and all the other builds or playthroughs and Chillhorn, and really step it up and focus on doing that. I think is what's coming next. And you see, we just zoned the whole damn thing, which, to be honest with you, was a mistake. We probably should have just zoned this all low density and not worried about just bringing in a ton of people, because you can see we're creeping up 41,000 still, almost to 42,000. It's inevitable at this point, and it's keeping up with the other demands. We had some areas here that we didn't zone yet of commercial and office. We do that now because really the only kicker is getting that residential demand high enough to actually build the residential buildings in this island that we created, the last island. And we're 40 minutes into today's build, and basically in my head I'm just like, it's done. We did it. As long as traffic holds up, we've done it. We've succeeded. And honestly, when I started looking at this map, I wasn't sure it was even possible. And playing through it, I can tell you now, we could probably hit 70 or 80,000 on this map. It would take a lot of discipline and an actual well-designed highway system, mass transit system, ferries, probably, you know, maybe an airport. Airport would probably waste too much landmass though, so we wouldn't be able to probably do that. But I think you could get 80,000 in this map personally, after getting 50,000 and close to, spoiler alert, close to 60,000 by the end of it. Craziness. I mentioned in the first episode of doing speed builds back in the day, or a while back when I was on Twitch, and this kind of reminded me of that. I knew we were at the phase where the numbers were going to hit. We were going to hit at least 50. It was just whether or not the traffic was going to get bad enough or too bad to prevent it. And since we were only, 3,000 away at this point, it was just a waiting game. I was doing some rebuilds here, just trying to improve some traffic flow. I was trying to focus or force the traffic to use this wider road that we created, and they just did not care. They really wanted to turn left at that first intersection, so eventually I just get rid of them and force them to use this one. I can't remember if that was in this time lapse or the post build time lapse that I'm not sure we're going to keep in the video, but we do go a little bit long here. You can see traffic is backing up off the highway, and in a second when I hand it back over to live gameplay Socks, he'll go over a little bit of my thoughts on that and whether or not we succeed with traffic in the state that it's in. It's debatable to me. So let me know what you think. Were we successful when we hit 50,000 here with traffic the way it is? The challenge was to hit 50K. We hit 50K, so I would say we're successful. Not completely up to my par, or par for my course. I'm not sure what I'm trying to say. We did it. This is not making me happy though. I feel like we're gonna go into overtime here. We're going to fix this. This is not the way we want to end this series. So we got this little bit of traffic. I was hoping adding in this lane here, the extra lane would change the speed limit. I don't think, can we see that in vanilla? I don't remember. I think that's a traffic manager mod thing where you can change the speed limit, or at least even see it. I was hoping they would start preferring this lane. So if we go here, we click on that priority road. Will that do it? Does that mean that they prioritize using that instead of these inner city roads? Yeah, silence. Silence is waiting for the AI to catch up here. So that, yep, there's starting to be more turning there. I just feel like if the traffic would prefer this, we could take this traffic light off, turn that into a stop sign, and if they're not weaving in and out of the neighborhood, it'll get them across here quicker. And we're gonna force all the traffic to loop around this direction. Not sure why the same size road is causing it to demolish, but that's happening. And loop here. Force the traffic to go all the way around to get to that new neighborhood. Space is occupied. What are you talking about? Oh, is it because the bend's too sharp? Well, that'll clear up, and then no one will use those 2 lanes. Oh, Vanilla City Skylines. Okay, so this should cause this back up to go. Look at all of those garbage trucks. Yeah, we got an issue. Okay, this backup is not getting better. They just seem to be stuck here. Dare I? This is just gonna make it worse, right? Maybe it won't. Maybe that will help. Let's let that run for a little bit. So I was taking a look at this angle because I was worried that pedestrians were causing this little slowdown, this little hitch that's happening with all these vehicles. And it doesn't seem to be the case. It might be the angle of that turn that they're struggling. So we could, we're going to attempt to see if this does it. If this helps. And then we'll just pretend like that's a road like that for a reason. So they're all gonna loop around. They're gonna go to that turn. Should be a lot easier. In theory, that'll get them further into. But see, this little hiccup that they're doing, I almost feel like that is more of, oh, because there's a stop sign. Okay, stop sign removed. Slow down. I need to slow down because I should have saw that. Okay, so that hiccup is stopping. We could potentially connect that road, and then they're gonna start looping back and favor it. That's hilarious. Okay, pause again. Let's try to pretend that, let's pretend that never happened. Okay, so that's gonna change that intersection again though, right? Or the junction. Yep, so let's kill that. And this back up. So this goes on for a while. I'm gonna cut it here. We were successful. I wanted to show a little bit of me kind of just fixing some of the traffic. Let me know if you want to see the unedited version of this and we can release that separately. It's about 45 minutes long, to be completely honest with you. So yeah, just let me know in the comments if we get enough comments saying that they'd like to see, that you'd all like to see the outcome of this when I get done messing around with it in the next like 40 minutes, 30 minutes. Yeah, let me know and we'll do that. But as for now, I'm Socks Way Up. Pay attention to the channel, hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the notifications so you can be aware of the next City Skylines builds when they come out. They're coming.